Graça Morais Contemporary Art Center. Graça Morais exhibition, Earth Lines, Indications. Let us begin this audio-described visit to the exhibition by Graça Morais called Earth Lines. This recording includes audio description, a feature intended for people with visual impairment. However, it also offers relevant information for other visitors that can facilitate reading and access to contemporary art. This visit includes the description of the space, the description of the works, and the reading of the texts that make up the exhibition. Whenever possible, the dimensions of the works and spaces are mentioned, with the width mentioned first, followed by the length or height. The description will be done clockwise, that is, from left to right. The spatial orientations given are based on the pattern of military clock hands, i.e. 12, in front of you, 3, to your right side, 6, behind you, and 9, to your left side, and locations in between. These indications assume that the starting point of the visitors is the center of each room, where they are. Visitors should be aware that any movement around the room will have implications for these instructions and adapt them accordingly. Contemporary Art Center. The building where Graça Morais Contemporary Art Center is located was built in the 19th century by Francisco Xavier da Veiga Cabral, governor of arms of the province of Trás-os-Montes. It was later purchased by José Sá Vargas and became known as Vargas Manor, having the architecture of a small palace. In 1936, the building was donated to the Santa Casa da Misericordia, Holy House of Mercy, and, in 1940, acquired by the Bank of Portugal, which ran in these facilities until 1993. In 2001, it was purchased by the Bragança City Council. A year later, the municipality applied for the Interreg 3 program, known as Transmuseus Project, and remodeled the manor to turn it into the Contemporary Arts Center in Bragança, designed by architect Eduardo Souto-Moura. On June 30, 2008, the Graça Morais Contemporary Arts Center is officially inaugurated, paying homage to the artist from Trás-os-Montes.
Graça Morais Maria da Graça Pinto de Almeida Morais was born on March 17, 1948, in Vieiro, a town in the municipality of Vila Flor, in the district of Bragança. Since she was little, she showed interest in the arts, especially painting. She studied painting at the Porto School of Fine Arts, a course that concluded in 1971, with a presentation of a performance exhibition with paintings on superimposed silk, painted dresses, and screens. She taught in various parts of the country and organized her first exhibition in 1974, in Guimarães. She was married twice. The first to the painter James Silva and later to the musician Pedro Caldeira Cabral. She had a daughter named Jonah. Since 1974, Graça Morais has held and participated in more than 100 individual and group exhibitions, both in Portugal and abroad. Among them, at the national level, the Humanity exhibition held in 2018 stands out, marking the 10th anniversary of this center. Exhibition space. The room where this exhibition is displayed occupies the first floor of the new part of the Contemporary Art Center. It includes a large exhibition hall, a completely black room, and a small uneven room accessed by ramp. We access the first floor by stairs or elevator. On the first floor, the dark room is 2.70 meters wide by 6.40 meters. The large room is trapezoid-shaped with a width that varies between 11 and 13 meters and 21 meters in length. It is 5.5 meters high, and, on the ceiling, we have a large rectangular skylight, through which natural light enters from the side, and from which 13 spotlights hang that are directed towards the walls. The uneven room is also in the shape of a trapezoid, with a width that varies between 3.80 and 4.60 meters, and a length between 5.5 and 5.9 meters. Instead of solid walls, the entire area is surrounded by glass walls covered with grey shutters. We reach this room by going down a ramp 1.5 meters wide and 12 meters long. All these rooms have light grey varnished cement floors and white walls and ceilings. The lighting is mostly artificial and partly natural. Natural light enters through the glass doors on the ground floor, which give access to the center's inner garden, and through a skylight on the first floor. The Earth Lines exhibition occupies the first floor of the new part of the center. After the exhibition Blue Eyes of the Sea on the ground floor, we go up the stairs and this exhibition begins. This is an adaptation of the exhibition that was on display at the Foscoa Museum in 2022, but also a tribute to Antonio Mega Ferreira. After going up the stairs, we find the first two pieces in the hallway on our right, one large and one smaller. Both belong to the collection called Map, Spirit, and the Olive Tree. Let's describe the largest piece. This piece is 1.60 meters wide by 3.5 meters long and was painted with acrylic and pastel on canvas. The entire canvas depicts various legs and organs of animals. The background is mostly light, yellow and white, and the figures are outlined in black and red. In the center we see the silhouette of the lower part of a woman's body, outlined in red on her right side. On the left side of the female figure, two pairs of animal hind legs appear, where we identify their hooves and genitals. Between the legs of what appears to be a horse, there is a man who apparently takes care of the animals. On the woman's right side, another pair of legs. They are the thin legs of an animal. The bones seem detached, surrounded by the flesh of the legs. In the center of this figure, the head of a bird with its beak facing left. Dark room. In this room we have a television that projects a documentary about Graça Morais that was directed and produced by her daughter Jonah Morais. It lasts approximately half an hour and shows Vieiro, her hometown, and the influence it had on her artistic life. This documentary has audio description, as well as subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing people in Portuguese, English and Spanish. Leaving this room, we turn to our right and go into the large room.
Large room. In this room we have 11 pieces on display, all of them very large. At 7 we have the work called Eroticism and Death, from 1984. This piece is 1.5 meters wide by 2 meters long. On the screen we have two female bodies. The one on the left is in profile looking towards our right, and the one on the right is looking towards us. The two bodies are represented without heads, highlighting the trunk with ample breasts and wide hips. This painting represents female fertility and turns out to be a recreation of the Venus of Willendorf, a fertility statue that was discovered in Austria. According to Graça Morais, when she lived in Mozambique, she did not feel the same shame towards women's bodies as in Portugal. This was another inspiration of hers. The painting was not only based on Venus, but also on the African women she met. On the left side of the room there is a sequence of 3 works that show the artist's experience in Vro. At 8 o'clock we have the work Delmina from 1982. The piece measures 1.5 meters in width by 2 meters in length and was painted with oil, pastel, and charcoal. Black and red predominate. In the center of the painting, looking to our right, the face of a woman is represented in profile with a dark scarf covering her head. You can see her hair falling over the forehead, coming out of the scarf. She has closed lips, a pointed nose, and a black hoop in her right ear. Around her, the overlapping limbs of animals and humans. On the right side of her face, the head of a mule. On the left side of both heads there is a large red spot that looks like a bucket. An arm enters the bucket and next to it a leg with a hoof, perhaps the mule's. At 9 we have the painting called Vro from 1983. This piece is 1.6 meters wide by 3 meters long. The beige canvas is full of elements drawn in oil and charcoal, some painted in red and blue. On the left side of the painting is a bloody hand holding a knife. It is pointing to the center of the room where there is a woman in profile looking to our right. She is on her knees and appears to be strangled by a lightly drawn hand. On the ground, in front of her, a bucket painted red that represents blood. The head of a horse drinks from this bucket. At the top, a pair of female legs appear to float above the crouching woman. Her head is leaning towards the ground and her legs are spread with clogs on her feet. Her genitals stand out, where her pubic hair can be seen. Various images are superimposed around these figures: flowers, mountains, and foliage. At 10 o'clock we have Maria from 1982. It is a piece that measures 1.5 meters in width by 2 meters in length. It was painted with oil and charcoal. In profile to our left, a feline is standing and takes up almost the entire screen. There are several figures superimposed on each other, giving the idea of movement but also metamorphosis. We see several legs and hooves. The animal has spots on its body drawn with black brush strokes. A woman's head in profile is superimposed on the felina's head. In her ear there is a black round earring. Another feline head enters from the left side of the painting and seems to swallow all the others. Its mouth is wide open and full of blood. We also see a hand crossing the frame diagonally towards the felina's hind legs. It tries to grab what appear to be tits. According to Graça Morais, this piece represents Dona Joaquina, a woman who worked in the artist's maternal home and who is currently 90 years old. At 12, occupying the entire wall, the largest work titled Brothel, from 1993. It was painted in acrylic and charcoal on canvas. This piece is divided into 6 panels, each measuring 4 by 2 meters. This work was part of the sets for the play staged by Carlos Avilés based on the work of the French writer Jean Genet called The Screens. Before starting to paint, Graça Morais read the piece to be inspired and learn the story. Despite her knowledge of the piece, Graça Morais transformed the figures following the metamorphosis process that characterizes her artistic creation. Under a background in orange, red and yellow tones, we can see a female figure seated in the center of the work, painted in white and gray. It has her legs open, and arms and legs attached to her sides. Near her genitals we have a triangular figure that appears to have arms or legs that extend away from the woman. Wrapped around her is a long snake with 2 heads, one on each side of the woman. In the remaining panels, various animals appear in metamorphosis, in a mixture of human and animal parts. On the right side we have 2 profile figures that are facing each other. They represent the animals found in cave paintings that are resting on their hind legs with their genitalia highlighted. On the left side another animal is represented in dark gray that looks like a marmot. Emerging from the uterus of the woman in the center, we see a kind of lizard with scales on its back heading towards this animal. This piece was seen as sexually explicit at the time it was shown in Cascais after the play performed by Avilés and caused quite a lot of controversy. At 3 we have the work called Maps and the Olive Tree Spirit, from 1984. The piece was painted with acrylic paint and pastel on a canvas 1.6 meters wide and 3.8 meters long. Grays, blacks and blues predominate, with a touch of yellow. In the center of the piece, on a blue background, we see a cow in profile looking to the left that occupies 2/3 of the screen. Superimposed on this animal we have the body of a woman lying down with her breasts highlighted. On the left side, there is a kind of frog-faced lizard looking at the cow. It looks like it's hanging from a branch. Crossing the piece, the bed of a river is drawn in blue tones. At 5 we have the last work that we will describe in this room. It is called Maps and the Olive Tree Spirit the 8th, from 1984. This piece belongs to Graça Morais' personal collection. It was painted in mixed technique on paper and measures 2 meters wide by 2 meters long. Under a grayish canvas, Graça Morais represented several elements that were present throughout her life, not only during the period she lived in Mozambique but also in Vro. The predominant colors are black and blue with touches of yellow. In the center of the screen we see the black drawing of an apron with 2 pockets. Above it there is a hair platter and 2 hairpins on top of a female face painted in light blue where 2 half-open and expressive eyes can be distinguished. On the apron you can see the profile of a small dragon with sharp claws directed towards the face of a man with spiky hair. On the female face, the body of a snake is drawn in brown tones, highlighting its scales. Uneven room. At the end of the large room there is a passage to a ramp that goes down to our left and takes us to the uneven room. Before going down on the wall in front of us, there is a text by Mega Ferreira, dated 2015. You can read the following. Where she comes from, where she always returns, is to the land, with which she traces the invisible strands of a complicity that was born in her cradle. From the Trás Montes region of Vro, Graça Morais has been renewing, time and again, through her work, the search, in its origin, for an original place for all painting. Let us say that a vision of return and rediscovery of the gestures, colors, forms and smells. Her painting has synesthetic flashes that formed, without her being able to realize it, the matrix of her so peculiar vision of the world. Along the ramp, there are paintings on the right wall. They are inspired by cave paintings and the Paleolithic and are related to the 1595 work of the British writer William Shakespeare, Richard II. This served as the basis for the work of the same name performed in Lisbon, for which Graça Morais created the sets in 1995. There are numerous photographs and a video showing the artist creating the sets that were on display in the exhibition at the Museum of Foz. Koa. At the foot of the ramp, there is a piece called Richard II, Last Act, from 1995. This painting measures 2.5 meters in width by 2 meters in length and is acrylic on canvas. The tones are predominantly dark browns, reds, and blacks. In this piece, the skulls of what appear to be deer are represented. In the center, in front of us, the skull of a larger deer with the left antler severed. Around it there are 4 smaller skulls represented from different perspectives.
Farewell, we reach the end of our visit. On behalf of the team that helped create and produce this audio-described visit, our thanks and hope you enjoyed it. We look forward to your next visit. Before leaving, we would like to ask you to leave us your opinion. To do this, fill out a short questionnaire available at the reception of the center on paper, or use the QR code to access online. Your comments and/or suggestions are essential to continue improving the audio-described visits and forthcoming exhibitions. Technical acknowledgements. The texts for this visit were created within the project Culture for All Bragança of the Municipality of Bragança, financed from the European Social Fund, reference Norte 07 to 4230 FSE 000058. The project was carried out by the Polytechnic Institute of Bragança, with Claudia Martins' coordination. The visit was partially based on a master's project carried out at the Polytechnic Institute of Bragança by Ingrid Freitas, supervised by Claudia Martins, and on a visit with Graça Morais and George da Costa at the Foz Museum. The visit was validated by Marissa Afonso and reviewed by Claudia Martins. The voices were from Narakit and the sound edition by Marta Ochoa. If you wish to send an email to the Polytechnic Institute of Bragança team with your opinion, you can do so through the following email: cultura@bragança.ipb.pt